Well, hello there, Primary 4. It is Wednesday, the 13th of January, 2021. Let's get started. And so, of course, we continue today with our spellings for week 1, and we are now on Wednesday. So we're going to write out our spellings again. And of course, I also want you to remember to say them aloud to someone at home. So we're going to have a quick practice through them now, just to make sure that you know what each word is. So I want you to say these aloud after me. Rock. Stop. Frog. Spot. Drop. Cost. Cross. Gone. Long. Along. Was. Wash. Very good. Let's move on to our spelling activities. So yesterday we finished looking at part 6. I had crossed out part 5 because I thought it was a bit too much for you to do. However, some people have asked if they can do it anyway, and of course you can if you want to. Now you don't have to, but you can if you wish. So question 5 says to circle the words that have an A that makes that aw sound. Write these words in the orange. Now the orange is over here. So you're listening for the aw sound with each word. So I'm going to read out the words and you just listen for the sound. I'm not going to tell you which ones have the aw sound. You need to try and listen and work it out. Was, what, mash, watch, has, that, wash, catch. Now there are 4 lines on that orange, so there are 4 words to find. Question 7 then asks you to fill in either an O or an A in each space to make the aw sound. So we know by looking at that first word is was. But is that W-O-S or W-A-S? Put an O or an A in each space. And finally then, section 8. And I quite like this activity. It says to read the words in the boxes and write the best word for each picture. So you'll see these first 3 pictures are of a boiling kettle, warm food, and a blazing fire. So they're all hot things. And you have to put one of these words beside them. Hot, hotter, hottest. So you have to think which of those 3 would be just hot, which would be even hotter, and which would be the hottest of all. The next one then shows you a picture of a sock, a ladder, and a snake. And you have to put one of these 3 words beside it. Long, longer, longest. So which of these is just long, which is even longer, and which is the longest? Now we're also working on this little literacy activity today. You'll see the date there at the top. It's today's date. And it's non-fiction. We're looking at instructions today. And instructions are a very, very useful thing. Instructions tell us how to do something. And all of you boys and girls at some time or another have followed instructions. So for example, if any of you like to bake or cook, you may have followed instructions on a recipe. Some of you may have followed instructions for setting up a computer game or setting up their iPhone. Some of you may have followed instructions for building something out of Lego. I know my little boy this year, he followed instructions to build a Lego train track and train. And instructions, therefore, are very, very useful and they tell us how to do something. So this instruction, as all instructions do, begins with a title. And it says, Instructions for how to run a bath. Now, for instructions, the first thing you need is a list like this. A list of all the things you need. So you see it says here at the top, you will need, and then it tells you everything that you need. So, for running a bath, you need obviously a bath, a plug, hot and cold water, bubble bath, soap, sponge, and a towel. Once you've listed everything you need, then you need instructions for what to do. Now you'll see there's lots of spaces here, and these are the spaces that we are going to fill in. Now, every instruction begins with a doing word, and it's sometimes called a bossy verb or an imperative verb, and it tells you what to do. So if you were cooking, for example, examples of bossy verbs would be peel, slice, chop, fry. When you're running a bath, these are the kind of bossy verbs you need, and we're going to read through them now. They're in this box at the bottom of your page, and they say climb, wash, put, dry, turn off, get, turn on, and pour. And you need to fill these bossy verbs into these spaces. So let's look at the first one together. It says something, the plug in the plug hole. So we have to find a bossy verb, doing word, that would fit in there. Now, would climb work? Climb the plug in the plug hole? No, I don't think so. So we look around and I see here the word put. Put the plug in the plug hole. That looks like the right one to me, because if we don't put the plug in the plug hole, there's no point running a bath, is there? The water will run away. Now, the one thing I want to remind you about is, if your bossy verb comes at the start of a sentence, you need to make sure, as with any sentence, that it has a capital letter. Now, these bossy verbs at the bottom don't have capital letters, so you will need to change the first letter to make sure it's a capital if it's at the start of a sentence. Now, you won't need to change this one because it's in the middle, but these other bossy verbs or imperative verbs will need to begin with a capital letter. For maths today, we're continuing to work on counting in threes on our 3 times tables. And today, for these 2 pages, you're being asked to count forwards in threes and then backwards in threes. So on this page, we're counting forwards, and then on the other page, we're counting backwards. Now, it would be great if you could do that in your head, counting up in threes. 3, 6, 9 would come next. However, if you're a bit stuck and you need some help, then just turn back to the start of the book, to where you wrote the 3 times tables, and you'll see that the answers are all going up in threes. So if you're counting forward in threes, you're going down this way. If you're counting backwards in threes, you're going back up. And once you've finished this activity, please continue to practice saying your 3 times tables aloud, and send me a little picture just showing me how far you can get before you get a little bit stuck or you need a prompt or a hint. So you could just send me a picture of these times tables with your finger or a pen pointing on how far you were able to go before you had to stop or ask for help. I hope you've also managed to be able to do your reading on Oxford Owl online. If you have any difficulties with that, with logging on or anything, just send me a little message. Also, our Sumdog Challenge continues until Friday, so I hope you get a chance to go on to Sumdog as well. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.